This is called, everybody hear me? This is called an ice well. We discovered this about 20 years ago. This is called an ice well. So now when you want ice, you go to your refrigerator, freezer, open the doors, get this lesson, right? Yeah. You know what they had to do in the old days? They had to wait for the Potomac River to freeze, and then they had to chop up ice into blocks, and they had to haul it up here, and then they had to lower it into there, and then cross their fingers that it would stay until the end of summer, when it would freeze again. They would be out of luck now because the river hasn't frozen.
I do water bucket.
All right.
Okay, Jerry. Water bucket. Too much.
Yeah. I'm gonna water bucket like that.
You're not. You're a toaster, right?
How do I
Toast cup. Toast cup.
I'm going to live in Washington State. I like as you know. What's that? I can tell the story right here.
I don't know where else to tell the story. All right, everybody. This is our last stop. If you want to hear it, please listen.
Hey,
If you
listen
don't,
up.
no hurt feelings.
Pam's got another story for you.
All right. Everybody saw the ice well, right? Yeah. This building behind you is called, here, I'll get over here so you can look at it. This building behind me is called Gatsby's Tavern. This has been a continually running restaurant since 1792 in this location. It's a big deal. In the old days, it was an inn and people stayed here. It is now run and owned by the building by the American Legion. So this story takes place in 1816. So remember I talked about the boats coming into the port and dropping off cargo and picking up cargo. One day a boat came into the port.
Quiet.
Quiet! Quiet! The other two are trying to listen. There's people eating dinner inside. So be respectful. I don't care if you want to hear my story or not. I truly don't. But I don't want you to disturb the other people that are around. You see the people eating dinner in there? I don't want to be here. Okay. So if you want to hear the story, that's great. So the ship came in one day and two people got off. It wasn't expected. They didn't have any cargo. They got off the ship. Everybody agrees that they looked wealthy, and they agreed that the woman looked like she was ill. They were brought here very quickly by carriage, and they checked into to Gatsby's Inn. The man said he asked for doctors to come and treat his companion, but before he would let anybody do that, he made anybody that they met promise to never reveal their identities. So they were on the run from something. We don't know what, we don't know who, but it was so important that everybody promised they would not reveal their identities. So the young woman, eventually the doctors tried for 3 weeks to save her life. They were not successful. So if you look up in the far window on the second floor, that is the room that they were staying in, and that is the room where she died. That's room 8. That's also the room where Anne Warren died that I just told you about. So the young man is distraught. He did not expect his companion to die. He doesn't carry a lot of money with him, but everybody looks like he's got money. So they agree to help him out. He owes money here. They bury her right away. This is, again, 1816. They buried her in the cemetery about 3 miles away. And the church up the road, St. Paul's Church, agreed to pay for all of this because he would be paying them back. So they created, they buried her, they bought the cemetery plot, and she has a headstone. And you're going to see some interesting headstones at Arlington Cemetery tomorrow. This is called a tabletop headstone. And it's got a big inscription, hand engraved in the headstone. It's as big as a casket. And when you see a headstone at Arlington, you will know so much about the person. And one of the first things you know about them is what? Their name. Their name. Perfect. On her headstone, it says, "Here lies the female stranger." So even in death, he didn't want anybody to know who she was. He paid a lot of money for this headstone, but they didn't know who she was. Everybody in Alexandria thinks he's going to stick around, but he doesn't. He gives everybody the IOU to get them to go to his bank and get paid, and he leaves town. Guess what? What? He didn't have any money. They were worthless. So everybody, probably in today's dollars, of about $25,000, you know, with the doctors and the inn and the guy that engraved the headstone and the church, owed a lot of money and left town. Now, he made everybody promise never to reveal their identities. Would you keep that promise? If you owed, wouldn't you go track him down and go, dude, you owe me a lot of money?
Yep.
Nobody did. They did not reveal his secret, their secret. We think that maybe she was, like she had been married, he killed her husband accidentally, who was a high-ranking British naval officer. I know all of you know who Alexander Hamilton is because you mentioned it. Do you know who he was in the duel with? Aaron Burr. And his daughter, Aaron Burr's daughter, disappeared at sea around the same time that this couple showed up. So they thought maybe it's her. We don't know who it was, but it was important enough that that they kept the secret. So she's now stuck. She dies in room 8. Nobody knows who she is. Not a very happy ending. And so people have reported seeing her or an apparition in here over the years. There was somebody that, it's a restaurant, they had tried to reach the napkins on the top shelf in the storeroom, and they went to get a chair and they turned around with the napkins and would knock to the ground. So my favorite story is I grew up here, and a guy that I went to high school with was a bartender here, and he told me a story at the end of one night. They were closing up and everybody's busy and washing dishes, and he hears somebody blowing out the candles in the dining room. See all the way it's all candles in there, right? It's meant to look authentic. And he looks up to say, hey, thanks for doing that. And there's nobody in the room, but all the candles are out. So this female, we call her the female stranger because that's what it said on her headstone. She is stuck in here, and I think she's trying to make herself useful. The second floor right up here is a ballroom, and it was a ballroom then, and they started having balls for George Washington on his birthday in February. And at least 4 times in the news articles that I read, people would be there and they would see a woman, and everybody dresses like, I would wear better shoes, but I'm dressed appropriately to go to a George Washington birthday ball, 18th century plus, 19th century. So more than one person, and it was reported in the Alexandria Gazette, and I read the articles, reported seeing a woman dressed in black with a veil at the birthday ball. But nobody could talk to her. She would just disappear and go across the hall. So one night, somebody followed her, and they saw her go into room 8, which is the room where she died. So they open it up, and there's nobody in there, but there's a lit candle just like this sitting on the table. Well, you don't leave a lit candle in a building that's built in 1792, right? That's not smart. So the guy goes downstairs to talk to the manager, and they come back up to the room, and the candle is out, but they go to move it off the table, and the glass is hot because it has just been lit. So my theory is, she's stuck in that room. Her spirit is stuck in the room, and there's suddenly a party going on across the hall, and everybody's dressed kind of like her. She's going to blend in. I think she comes out of hiding, goes to the party as long as she can, and then leaves, and she's making herself useful. But it's truly a sad story because nobody knows who she is. Her family doesn't know what happened to her. It's truly a sad story, and we still don't know who she is. It's been over 200 years.
Do they still rent out rooms here? Or?
They no longer rent out rooms here. It's the American Legion, so they were going to tear it down, and the American Legion bought the building and saved it. Yep. Yes.
Can people still go in that room?
Yes, they do tours there. They do not talk about that story because they don't want people to. Right. But so you can go in and you can see it. And I will also say, you guys are in a hotel. You're probably sharing a room, but you got your own room. You got a door. You got a bathroom that's yours, right? In those days, if you paid to stay the night, you might get a spot on the floor, and maybe you're sharing a chamber pot, which is the version of the bathrooms then. So the fact that they moved into a room for 3 weeks and didn't share it with anybody else is pretty telling about how important Cape Cod is. So, all right, that is my ghost story. And did you hear that? Did everybody hear the Aunt Warren story that she stayed in room 8 and died, and then she stayed in room 8 and died? I would not be staying in room 8.
I was about to say, is that a haunted?
Yeah, maybe that's the room. So, all right, I'm going to take you back to the bus because we are.